Many Western Europeans who visited socialist Romania during the Ceaușescu era in the 1970s couldn't believe their eyes. On the roads, they saw familiar silhouettes of German MAN trucks, and in the mountain quarries, colossal 90-ton DAC monsters with electric motors in their wheels roared. As they got closer, the word Roman was easily read on the grills of the European cabs, which was short for Romania MAN. These really were German vehicles, but legally assembled behind the Iron Curtain. For Romania's modest automotive industry, this was a real jackpot. While in the USSR, the pride was the MAZ 500s, the Romanians were not only producing some of the best trucks in Europe, but also created their own line of rugged DAC vehicles based on them. These vehicles operated in extremely harsh conditions, were purchased by the US Army, and even took on the desert in the legendary Paris-Dakar rally. But how did a country from the Eastern Bloc manage to establish such deep cooperation with West Germany? Why was the factory with the proletarian name Stiegl Rosu, Red Flag, chosen to produce licensed MAN trucks? And how did Romanian trucks manage to conquer China? To learn all these fascinating facts from the history of the Romanian automotive industry, keep watching, hit the like button, and share your thoughts in the comments. To understand why the contract with MA was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for the state-owned manufacturer Stiegl Rosu, let's take a moment to look back at the company's history. The history of the automobile factory in Brasov began back in pre-war Romania. In 1935, the local railcar repair plant Romlock was taken over by the automotive company Astra. Back in the Austro-Hungarian era, between 1909 and 1912, it produced MARTA passenger cars under license from the American company Westhouse and later belonged to Austro-Daimler. After World War I, Romania expanded its territory and became a kingdom. The Astra company adapted perfectly. In 1920, it produced the country's first trucks, buses, and powerful passenger cars with 8-liter engines. However, the economic crisis of the 1930s hit its finances hard. Astra merged with Romlock, gave up on automobiles, and focused on railway cars. During World War II, the factory switched to mass production of cannons and ammunition. This turned out to be a tragedy for it. Allied aviation bombed the workshops in Brasov almost to the ground. But in 1948, everything changed. The communists came to power. Romania became a satellite of the USSR and began nationalization. The factory became state-owned, and to match the spirit of the new ideology, it was renamed Stiegl Rosu. Post-war Romania found itself on the verge of a transportation collapse. 80% of the locomotives had been destroyed. Rebuilding the railway was time-consuming and expensive, so the government decided to focus on trucks. That's when they remembered the factory's automotive past. They started by repairing captured German vehicles, then produced bodies for Soviet GAZ-51 and ZIS-150 trucks, and in 1950 decided to fully assemble the ZIS-150 in Brasov, which at that time had been renamed Orasul Stalin. In 1954, the first licensed ZIS trucks rolled off the assembly line under the name SR-101. The Romanian 4-ton version was more modest. A wood-metal cab and a gasoline engine with 95 horsepower, which could only accelerate it up to 65 kilometers per hour. Later, the SR1 turned into a whole family, including dump trucks and all-wheel drive 4x4 versions. Eventually, 17,000 of these vehicles were produced, but that wasn't enough. Moreover, by the mid-50s, the SR101 had become hopelessly outdated. On top of that, the Romanians didn't want to turn to the USSR for new technologies because of the political chill after the denunciation of Stalin's cult of personality. There was only one way out: the West. Their partner became the French company Chausson. In 3 years, the French completely modernized the factory and developed a new hooded cab in line with the fashion of the time. Panoramic windshield, rounded shape, stylish grille. These trucks received the designation SR-131 and the name Carpati, meaning Carpathians. They hit a Ford V8 engine with 140 horsepower under the hood. Later, a heavier 5-ton model appeared, the SR-113 Bucegi. These vehicles were actively exported to Colombia, Greece, Syria, and were even assembled in Yugoslavia under the Torpedo brand. But in the 1960s, the hooded design suddenly went out of fashion. Compared to the new cab-over Mercedes and Volvo trucks, the Romanian trucks looked like dinosaurs. The new leader, Nicolae Ceaușescu, set a course for industrialization and closer ties with the West. Oil dollars were spent on purchasing European technologies. In 1967, a tender was announced for a new diesel cab-over truck, and the winner was the German company MAN. In 1969, a licensing agreement was signed, and in 1971, the first Romanian MAN trucks rolled off the assembly line. This was the 8135F model with a cab from the German MAN F7 series. Later, heavy 3-axle models appeared, which handled mountain passes excellently. The Roman chassis served as the base for concrete mixers, fire trucks, and cranes. Here, it's worth pausing to imagine the emotions of an ordinary driver from the Socialist Bloc. A person who used to drive a Spartan Soviet Maz or Kamaz suddenly found themselves behind the wheel of a licensed MAN. German ergonomics, excellent sound insulation, comfortable seats, easy steering thanks to power steering, and a powerful heater in winter. For many, it was like a real spaceship. The collaboration with MA became a golden era. German quality and comfort made it possible to sell 130,000 trucks in 31 countries around the world. And since 1982, licensed Romanian MAN trucks even started being produced in China under the Hunyuan brand. Chinese engineers adapted these technologies so successfully that Hunyuan trucks became one of the foundations for building modern industrial China in the 1980s and 1990s. In parallel with Roman, the plant launched the DAC brand, Diesel Auto Camion. Under this name, they produced heavy quarry and military equipment. The DAC military series was purchased by the armies of African countries, Cuba, and even about 600 vehicles were acquired by the US Army. The real star was the 90-ton quarry giant, the DAC 120DE. It was created specifically for Ceaușescu's ambitious mega project, the digging of the giant Danube Black Sea Canal. The machine featured a hybrid drive that was innovative for its time. A powerful diesel engine with 1,040 horsepower worked as a generator, powering electric motors hidden right inside the wheel hubs. In 2 years, only 16 of these machines were produced. Some of them operated in Romania, and 5 units even managed to be sold to Australia. But before plunging into the crisis of the late 80s, Romanian trucks managed to make a big splash on the world stage. In 1989 and 1990, the brutal DAC giants challenged the desert and took part in the toughest automotive marathon on the planet, the legendary Paris-Dakar Rally. It was a true triumph of endurance for Romanian engineering. However, dark times were approaching. The country fell into a deep debt hole because of loans from the 70s. To pay off the debts, Ceaușescu imposed a regime of total austerity. An incredible contrast emerged. While the factory was producing 90-ton monsters for the construction of mega-project canals, ordinary Romanians suffered from severe food shortages, cold apartments, and power outages. Ultimately, this led to mass strikes and the overthrow of the communist regime in 1989. In the 90s, the factory was reorganized into Roman SA. Without money or sales markets, it struggled to survive. It produced special chassis for oil workers, budget versions of the Unimog, and even city buses. However, debts and a lack of investment were dragging the company down. Fraudulent privatization in 2004 finished off the production, and in 2014, Roman SA was declared bankrupt. It seemed like a sad ending. However, today the classic, rugged Roman and DAC models continue to live on, now in the virtual world. They have become incredibly popular user mods in games like SnowRunner and Euro Truck Simulator 2, where thousands of gamers from all over the world plow through virtual mud in these Romanian monsters. But this still isn't the end, and in the real world, after almost 11 years of inactivity, the DAC brand was relaunched in 2025. Now, the abbreviation stands for Drive Auto Clean. The new company assembles modern electric buses, trolley buses, and trucks in Brasov from Chinese knockdown kits. By 2035, they plan to produce 30,000 eco-friendly vehicles. And here you can notice a beautiful irony of fate. Once, the greatest pride of DAC was a hybrid quarry truck with electric motors in its wheels. And today, nearly 40 years later, the brand is being revived again, this time betting on electric drive. That's quite an incredible journey. From steam locomotives and cannons to licensed MANs, the Dakar Rally, Bankruptcy, and a revival in the era of electric vehicles. Which machines did you like more? The classic Romans or the rugged DACs? Let us know in the comments, and see you in the next videos.